Hello and welcome to another episode of the Paper Stack Podcast. I am Brett Burky and this is Rick Allen.
Sponsored by Coke.
Sponsored by
Coke.
Actually, this is one sponsored by DME still. What are you talking about?
I know. DME. We're going to be there. It's coming up. Wow, we got, 2 weeks?
Yeah.
The 10th and 11th?
Oh, wow, yeah. Yeah, that's going to be cool. If you haven't yet got your ticket, I mean...
You better hurry. You better hurry and get your ticket, and you better book the room.
Yeah.
Because it's at the Hilton St. Pete.
It's going to be nice. It's going to be nice. The weather's kind of shaping up to look good. I mean, at least now around here. I mean, I like to be outside during the day when I get home. But so today's topic is something that's on the top of a lot of people's mind, and it's something that makes a lot of sense in terms of how inflation actually affects your note business and when you're collecting, payments. How does it affect your yields? What as a note investor, what do you have to? Why is it important? What are the strategies for it? How do you mitigate any things? Can you work around it to kind of go against it? Because I mean, I'm talking to my brother who's a financial advisor for Fidelity. I'm like, I have like an account where I just put money to just stay there when I need to do a big purchase. I'm like, look, man, there's a lot of money I should be earning interest on this. And I was like, but I don't, what can I put it in to at least make something that's super safe? And so he put me into something and it was like at 6%. I'm like, well, I'm still losing. He's like, I'm sorry. He's like, this is the highest it's been in 40 years. He's like, you're not going to find something that's going to, if you want something safe, that's going to beat current inflation. So I'm like, well, that sucks. So like, I'm just like looking at him. So how does that affect everyone's note business? How does it affect everyone's note business, Rick?
That's a good question. It's a topic. I'll start with something that was written by Marco Bario. He has a newsletter, Porch Swing Funding. It's really, a really good publication. It's free. Get on there and listen to it. He puts out some good content. And so just a little shout out there to Marco. But what he kind of talks about is, just 7% inflation right now. And the nature of owning owner finance notes and how if there's 7% inflation, then year over year, you're starting to lose buying power.
Right.
Which is big. So we'll just use the round numbers that he talks about. It's like, look, if you have a note that's paying $1,000 a month, and that's what you're collecting, we'll just use it, say that you're collecting $1,000 a month, and then your payment is eroded because of 7% inflation. In 5 years, if that were to continue, your $1,000 would really only be able to buy $695. Right?
Golly, that's crazy.
Kind of just think about that. It's huge, right? What $100 could buy you at the grocery store 1 year can buy you $93 the next year. And so that you kind of translate that into the note space. If it's $1,000 payment, after 5 years, you can buy $695. If it were to continue in 10 years, be $483. 15 years, $336. And in 20 years, $234. Obviously, we're not looking down the barrel. I don't even have a crystal ball. I can tell you we're not looking down the barrel of 20 years of 7% inflation. That just doesn't happen.
No.
But it's one of those things where it's a real issue. So if you have a 30-year note, the buying power on that note by the time it matures it's getting wiped out. So he suggests doing a couple things. One is if you're buying or you're originating a loan, target that 10 to 15 year note, right? Because you can hedge yourself against
That's smart.
Hedge yourself against the 30-year note, the long payoff, get your money in quicker. And if it's a 10-year note, then you'll never see the 20th year of inflation.
Yeah, let me ask you a question. Like, with all the notes you've bought, are you ever playing the 30-year note game?
No, I don't play the 30-year note game. I might originate them for 30, but I can turn around and sell them.
That's the one thing I was kind of curious about. Like, some people do refis. I'm trying to do a refi right now to get the HELOC thing, and so it's like
they do refis. I mean, so you can look at it a couple different ways. You can there's maybe a larger opportunity for a partial if it's over a 30-year, less of the principal is being paid down. You can sell off more of the interest. I mean, there's different ways to skin the cat. You can slice pie different ways. Not one way is right. Not one way is wrong. typically shorter term notes sell
Right.
a little easier, but there's a different things out there. I think there's another side of the equation to sort of look at when it comes to the owner financed world and what's going on with notes or what's going on with inflation. And that's kind of look at like, well, how does that affect your borrowers, right? Because we're seeing I'm going to look at, this is a Forbes article right here. It was like 7.5% inflation, which is huge. If you strip out they said the volatile food and energy prices, it kind of brings the 12-month down to 6%. But hey, I think the food and the energy is all part of it, right?
Well, those are two important. Without that,
it's two huge pieces of the puzzle. So, just some of the numbers that kind of stuck out to me that we'll look at is, let's see here, energy prices are up 27%. 27%. That's huge. They're 40%. The gasoline prices are 40% higher than they were a year ago.
Yeah, it says something to be able to work from home. It's a kind of a gift, sometimes to be able to not have to do. I know you do a ton of driving.
I do a ton of driving.
So
used cars, they're up 41. The price of used cars is up 41%. The price of food is up 7%. The price of shelter costs is up 4.4% over the same period. So what does that all mean? Well, what it means is if you have like there's a bunch of inflation, and people can argue why. Personally, I think if you put in trillions and trillions of dollars into the economy, it costs more money to buy the same thing because there's more money available, right?
Exactly. That's
so
why people are, bullish on crypto
and
hard assets because of that exact reason,
But what does that mean for your borrowers?
It means it's going to be harder for them to hopefully make the payments. They're going to be a little bit tighter
because people are getting the pinch, right? So if you originated something and you kind of push them to their limit on where they're at, and now there's 7% inflation, and the cost of a car is 41% higher, and the cost of energy to heat and cool your place is 27% higher, and the cost of food is 7%, and gas is 27%. Or 40% higher than it was last year. All of a sudden, that's a lot of inflation, and it's coming in from a bunch of different spots. It's not just coming in at the gas pump. It's not just coming in for food. It's coming in for everything. And what that does is that puts the pinch on people. And so you're going to run into an issue to where not only were people not making their payments necessarily during COVID because of moratoriums, but now to get back on their feet, now there's the pinch there. And so as the note holder, you're looking at what do I do? Do I lower their payment into a reasonable spot? Because once you lower somebody's payment into a sort of something they can afford and maybe the economy corrects itself, well, now you're your note's undervalued, right? And what I think you're going to see is a lot of people are looking at it and saying, well, I'm just going to take the house back. Well, why would they say that?
Well, because real estate's up.
Real estate values are way up.
Yeah.
And so now you've got a situation where you have people who potentially own notes who are not necessarily as motivated to work with individuals because they can get the real estate back and they can make a large return on their money by taking back the real estate.
Why wouldn't the borrower, if the borrower is actually making payments, just refi and get the cash out?
Well, so they do what's called quantitative restricting, which makes it more difficult to get financing. But let's kind of even look at a more basic level is why was that borrower owner financed in the first place?
Okay.
So what's the reason?
They usually have...
They're not bankable.
No.
They couldn't go get a loan elsewhere or else they would have.
Right.
Now, I've had times when there was a guy who, he had a $40,000 owner financed loan and he just wrote a check and paid it off. Well, he owned a concrete block business, laying concrete blocks for houses, right?
Yeah.
And so for him, he's like, I just didn't feel like going to the bank. I knew I was going to fix it up and eventually just pay it off. So it was just easier to go ahead and do the owner financed loan at 8%. He's like, I really wasn't concerned about it. And he just wrote a check for it.
Nice.
So That's not the norm though. The norm is the people that you have in your property or that you've owner financed a loan to, they couldn't get financing from a bank either because they're not bankable or the bank doesn't want to lend on that house. You know, some banks won't lend on lower price band assets. It's not profitable for them. They're just not going to do it, regardless of what the media tells you that there's not financing for those lower price band assets.
That's interesting.
So you run into situations where you could have this, this cataclysmic storm of inflation causing people not to be able to make payments, real estate going up, so lenders not wanting to work with the borrowers.
Wow.
And now you're going to have like people being foreclosed on. From what we hear, there's a huge amount of NPL coming already.
Yeah, that was something. There's some conferences.
We were at the MBA yesterday,
Yeah.
the Mortgage Bankers Association conference for servicing.
Yeah, it was a default servicing. But
here in Orlando, sunny Orlando.
You want to hear it from the
degrees.
source. I mean, the servicing companies are the people who are collecting payments or not collecting the payments, so they have some inside track on this stuff. And so
people we talked to basically said, look, come the fall of this year, that was 198 billion. 168 billion. Just coming right now.
It's the moratoriums are ending, and it needs to work its way through the system. Like there's got to be that whole, offloading and all that, and that. I was like, well, why is it taking so long? Well, it just takes a long time. And so like it'll.
So last year there was, just for some context, there was about $778 billion traded over the whole year, and that was a majority of performing loans, right? So I expect this year and really the next 12 months that we could see trading top 1 trillion, get up to $1 trillion in trades coming through in the secondary market. That's huge opportunity. The people I know right now, I see people changing gears right now, moving their funds, getting ready for this fall. There's going to be a lot of NPLs available.
Yeah, we've already seen it. So I mean, we got some people giving us assets and saying load them all, and it's like, well, yeah, you're going to be overloaded, and it's going to be not a good experience for our users. 1,200
NPLs, and all of them, we could sell them all right now.
They're pretty hot, but it's also it's going to take some finesse to get through it because we have a lot of users. No, we already hit over 10,000. So
hit over 10,000.
10,000 users. So when someone uploads stuff like that, I mean, I'm on their team because I helped set it up for them, and the inbox looks like a mess. I mean, it's just like it's overwhelmed. And so for one person trying to handle that, I mean, it's probably going to be a lot better than what happened like in say 2008, where there were piles of stacks of papers and stuff trying to work through stuff. Because at least we have a system for people, and that's why we're developing the enterprise is to kind of meet this need that's coming. But it's gonna still be interesting, maybe messy, but interesting. So that's the whole inflation thing is definitely something that has been on my mind, especially because I'm looking for a car. I wouldn't say I was uninformed. At the time when COVID was going on, I had a car, was making a car payment, and I was like, Rick loves it because I get to ride with him everywhere.
It's like having a fourth child.
Yeah, so
he even cleaned my car one day. It was so nice of him.
I drove his car back from the airport because he went hunting.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I'm gonna do Rick a favor, and so I just detailed the crap out of it. And it was
a good job.
Yeah, it was pretty clean. But I got rid of the car during COVID. I was like, the guy's like, you don't want to buy another one? I was like, I don't go anywhere. What do I need another car for? I was like, I don't need the insurance. He's like, it's just, and so I was like, yeah, I'll get one when I, things kind of get back going again. Went to go. I was like, oh my gosh, and the prices. I'm now at the point where I'm like, it's only gonna get worse. I have to bite the bullet. I'm gonna have to pay 40% over. I don't want to. I was trying to be cheap and find a good deal, and I'm like, this is a seller's market. I'm gonna have to just take it. So which sucks. But how many other people are going through those same situations, and then as things get going and keep going, I mean, how bad can it get? So that's the scary part for me.
It can get bad, and so you look at if there's overall 7% inflation, like the Wages are not keeping up.
Wages are not keeping up, no.
So you're just, it's curious when if you start thinking about like, who does this really affect when there's the inflation? It's widening the gap.
Yeah, which is very sad.
It widens the gap because at the end of the day, there's some times when you just don't even look at the price that you're paying for gas. You notice it, but you're like, whatever. The difference of costing $15 or $20 more to some people it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. But to,
the person that's only got, the $10 to put in their gas tank.
Well, yeah, that's huge. When it's like, look, I've got $10, and now my $10 is getting me,
2 gallons.
Yeah, it's not getting you much.
No.
So, I don't know. There's a lot to kind of digest there, but it's one of those things where, inflation is a real thing. So it's going to affect your note business. The question is, what can you do
To work around it.
What can you do to capitalize on it? Because at the end of the day, as sad as it is, when there's blood in the streets, there's huge opportunity. That's when the money's made, right? You go look at anybody who was making the real like huge capital gains on over the past, we'll say decade. Look at like Invitation Homes, people who were getting their money at 2% or 1% or whatever, and buying these rentals and just sat on them.
Well, the obvious one is the fourth arm of the government, pretty much, is BlackRock. they're buying up everything, and they're going to turn everything into rentals, not allowing people to have home ownership. I think it's terrible what they're doing, but
yeah,
that's my personal opinion. I think they're going to keep people as renters forever. And it's like that's bad. But they came in at the time when everything was distressed,
so cheap,
and they just bought everything up.
So what can you do?
What can you do with that?
So, you got to look at it and find out where are the opportunities going to lie. There's going to be huge opportunities, right, in the non-performing space.
Right.
I think that'll be a huge opportunity for people to deploy capital into buying non-performing loans and either taking them, turning them into REOs. And I think what you're probably going to see is people keeping those REOs. More and more people are going to keep those REOs, figure out how to recapitalize them, recapitalize their account, and try to hold those REOs.
Well, if you're holding the REO, you're not making any money while you're holding the REO.
No, but if you turn them into rentals or you turn them into things like that and start focusing on your cash flow, I think you could potentially see people making that play and trying to run a similar play as to what the BlackRocks were doing and stuff like that. Recapitalization is going to be a huge factor. If you've got a large portfolio of performing loans, selling partials to recapitalize, to start acquiring some of the non-performing loans is going to be a big play that people are going to want to do.
That's actually very interesting because they might not, all their capital could be deployed at this moment and they might not have it.
If you don't have capital and you've got a large portfolio of performing loans, kind of figuring out how am I going to get more capital to take advantage of the non-performing loans?
By selling partials.
The
good thing is we have a list of people who over the years we've been doing this have asked, hey, do you guys have partials? Do you have partials? Because we were going to do partials and then we didn't. So it's still a nice sized list of people that are interested in partials. So if you as a note seller are listening to this and want to recapitalize, just reach out to me. And the way it's done on the site is a little bit different. We've done it and they get to the part where you have to use the fee method. So they get to the fee method and then we kind of let you guys go on your own merry way and do because that's the part that has to go offline because it's just so particular and whatever.
Right.
But we have that list, and so if you are looking for that, we can help out.
Yeah. So huge opportunities there.
Well, we'll see what happens. It's currently February 2022.
Yeah.
It was just the Tuesday of February 22nd.
02.
Yeah, that was kind of weird. That was freaky.
02/22/2022.
Yeah. That's never gonna happen again.
It was a Tuesday.
It was a Tuesday. It was just weird.
My kids they jumped in the car and they were just ready to tell me this when they got home from school.
Yeah, that's how I heard it.
And I had noticed it when I was doing the date. I'm like, it's a lot of twos.
Right.
But then they got in the car and they told me, so that was really good.
Yeah, that was cool. So that's what we're at about that part. We're in that next Thursday right afterwards, so the 24th. So we'll see what happens. We'd actually like to hear what you guys think. We're not experts on inflation.
Yeah, leave a comment below. Definitely, let's open up some conversations, some dialogue. I'm interested to hear your thoughts on on the inflation. What is it going to do to your no business? What are the opportunities coming down there? Do you think we're full of crap and don't know what we're talking about? That could
Let's
be.
hope so. Because if it, I'd like it to stay either here or go backwards. That'd be nice. I mean, I wouldn't want it to stay here, but I no more is what I want. Don't go higher. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's something that's there. So I don't know. We'll see. If you're not subscribed, please subscribe. Click that button.
Yeah, we had a contest which we were going to get to first.
And
user base or YouTube subscriber.
YouTube subscribers.
I had my money on YouTube subscribers.
We were close. But we did do a new integration with Note School that, they're onboarding some of their students to our platform to buy and sell loans. So it's going to be a good thing. So that, I think, kind of pushed up the
user base.
The user registration to cross the 10,000 mark. It was close. It was really, really, I thought it was a pretty good
It was 984 or 5?
I don't know.
I was really pushing for it. I almost wanted to hit the button on advertise to push for subscriptions, but
can't buy it. Which doesn't make sense because we buy users.
I know. It was just one of those weird things, but that's it. But yeah, we'll talk to you in the next one. So see you on the internets.